The Gerald R. Ford, hull number CVN-78, 1,106 feet long, 100,000 tons of displacement, the most advanced warship ever built by any nation in human history, and she was built entirely by hand, in a single shipyard, on the banks of the James River in Newport News, Virginia. This is how America builds the world's largest warship. The story begins with steel, not ordinary steel, high-strength, low-alloy naval steel designated HSLA 100, a material developed specifically for the United States Navy, manufactured to tolerances that civilian steel production does not approach. HSLA 100 offers yield strength of 100,000 pounds per square inch, nearly 3 times the strength of ordinary structural steel, while remaining fully weldable without preheating. On a warship built to absorb punishment and keep fighting, the material properties of the hull steel are not a detail, they are a survival specification. The Gerald R. Ford required approximately 47,000 tons of this steel. It arrived at Newport News by rail, thousands of certified plates, each one tagged with mill documentation, each one ultrasonically tested for internal defects before a single inch of it touched the production floor. Any lamination, any inclusion, any flaw invisible to the human eye, rejected, because the Gerald R. Ford would spend 50 years at sea, and the steel she was built from would be asked to perform without failure for every one of those decades. From the plate yard, the steel moved to the cutting floor. Newport News operates CNC plasma cutting tables capable of processing steel plate up to 300 millimeters thick. The plasma arc reaches temperatures exceeding 20,000 degrees Celsius, nearly 4 times hotter than the surface of the sun, cutting naval steel with a precision measured in fractions of a millimeter. Every cut was programmed directly from the 3-dimensional digital ship model, eliminating the manual template work that defined carrier construction for generations before her. After cutting, the plates moved to the press brake stations. The hydraulic press brakes at Newport News exert forming forces of thousands of tons, enough to permanently bend steel plate 100 millimeters thick into the precise curved geometry of the carrier hull. Every hull plate curve was formed to tolerances that allowed the completed blocks to mate in the dry dock with perfect fit. The geometry locked into the steel on the forming floor would carry the Gerald R. Ford through the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Indian Ocean without deformation for half a century. Alongside the hull plate work, the shipyard's precision machine shops were manufacturing the components that would drive the carrier through the water. The Gerald R. Ford is propelled by 4 propulsion shafts, each connected to a 5-bladed bronze propeller measuring 21 feet in diameter and weighing over 30 tons. The shafts were machined to tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. The bearing housings bored to the same standard, because a misaligned propulsion shaft on a nuclear aircraft carrier is not a maintenance issue, it is a mission-ending casualty. The Gerald R. Ford was not built as a single ship. She was constructed in 162 separate structural units, blocks, each assembled independently before being lifted into the dry dock and joined to her neighbors. The largest blocks weighed over 900 tons. Some stood as tall as a 6-story building. In the block assembly halls, the cut and formed steel came together for welding on a scale that is genuinely difficult to comprehend. Across the complete ship, millions of meters of weld were deposited. Every critical structural weld, hull shell seams, frame connections, keel joints, was subject to non-destructive examination. Phased array ultrasonic testing allowed inspectors to see a real-time cross-section of the weld interior on a digital display, detecting any internal flaw that would compromise the structural integrity of the hull. Not most welds, not nearly all welds, every single one. The Newport News gantry cranes, capable of lifting over 1,000 tons, lowered each completed block into position in the dry dock with millimeter precision. The mating joints were then welded and inspected, joining the separate assemblies into one continuous ship structure. Over several years, the Gerald R. Ford grew from individual blocks into a complete hull. At the heart of that hull, buried deep in a compartment designed to survive combat damage that would destroy any conventional warship, lies the A-1B nuclear reactor. Developed by Bechtel Marine Propulsion Corporation specifically for the Gerald R. Ford class, The A1B is a pressurized water reactor that produces over 25% more electrical power than the reactors in the Nimitz class, while being physically smaller and requiring fewer crew to operate. Enriched uranium fuel generates heat. That heat transfers to pressurized water in the primary coolant circuit, which transfers to a secondary circuit through steam generators, which drives the turbines that power the propulsion shafts and generate electricity for every system on the ship. The Gerald R. Ford does not carry fuel in the conventional sense. Her reactors will power her for approximately 50 years, the full planned service life of the ship, without refueling. She is not dependent on supply lines. She does not need to return to port for energy. Wherever she sails, she carries her own power source. That is the strategic reality that makes the Gerald R. Ford class uniquely capable. The carrier's combat systems represent a generational leap over every warship that came before her. At the center of her electronic capability is the AN Spy-6 air and missile defense radar, the most capable radar ever installed on a surface warship. Using gallium nitride transmit-receive modules in an active electronically scanned array, the Spy-6 is over 35 times more sensitive than previous naval radar systems. It can detect objects as small as a golf ball at ranges that remain classified. Her Combat Information Center processes data from every sensor simultaneously, fusing the picture into a single integrated display that gives her commanders awareness of every contact within hundreds of miles. The electrical cabling installed during construction totals over 3,000 miles in length. Every cable routed, labeled, tested, and verified. Because the combat systems of the Gerald R. Ford are not independent, they are an integrated network, and the integrity of that network depends on the integrity of every single connection within it. The flight deck of the Gerald R. Ford covers 4.5 acres, and beneath that deck lies the system that defines her operational capability above all others, the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, known as EALS. Previous carriers launched aircraft using steam catapults, systems that released high-pressure steam to drive a piston down a 300-foot track, accelerating an aircraft from 0 to flying speed in approximately 2 seconds. The EALS system achieves the same result electromagnetically. A linear induction motor, the same technology that drives maglev trains, accelerates the catapult shuttle using precisely controlled electromagnetic force. The energy is stored in rotating machinery systems and released in a controlled pulse tailored to the specific aircraft being launched. The advantage is control. Steam catapults delivered a fixed impulse. EALS can vary its launch energy precisely across the full spectrum from lightweight drones to the heaviest carrier aircraft, including aircraft types not yet designed. It also imposes lower peak stress on the airframe during launch, extending the structural life of every aircraft it accelerates off the bow. The Gerald R. Ford also introduced the Advanced Arresting Gear, AAG, which uses a controlled motor to absorb the energy of a landing aircraft with variable, precisely managed force, reducing peak loads on the aircraft's hook and airframe. Together, EALS and AAG give the Gerald R. Ford a sortie generation rate significantly higher than the Nimitz class, more launches and recoveries per day, less wear on the systems and the aircraft, greater sustained air power from a single hull. On July 27, 2017, the Gerald R. Ford was commissioned into the United States Navy at Naval Station Norfolk, Virginia. She was the first new aircraft carrier designed to enter American service in over 40 years. Her construction consumed over 50 million man-hours of skilled labor. Welders, machinists, electricians, structural engineers, pipe fitters, thousands of workers who invested years of their lives in a single ship. A ship that will remain in service until the 2060s, projecting American air power around the world long after the men and women who built her have retired. The Gerald R. Ford carries an air wing of up to 90 aircraft. Her reactors will power her without refueling for her entire service life. Her radar can see further and with greater clarity than any naval system before it. Her catapults can launch any aircraft ever designed for carrier operations, and any that will be designed in the decades to come. She displaces 100,000 tons. She is 1,106 feet long. She took 50 million man-hours to build. And when she puts to sea, she does so as the most capable warship ever constructed by any civilization in the history of the world. The journey from raw steel plate to commissioned warship ends here. This is the Gerald R. Ford.